Today, we're going to tackle the anthropology, sociology, and political science of the following places and eras. Let's hear the research of Alexa. Alexa?
Thank you, Angel. I am Alexa, and now we are going to tackle the anthropology, sociology, and political science during pre-Spanish period. Long before the arrival of the Spaniards, ancient Filipinos were living in scattered barangay and ruled by different chieftains. Although they were living separately, they were similar in many ways. Their religion, mode of dressing, houses, system of government, and marriage practices and economic activities. In short, they were refined and civilized. They possessed a distinct. Before the Spanish first occupied the Philippines, the country was already rich with local cultural history ranging from trading interactions with the Chinese, Japanese, to engaging with Islamic leaders from the Middle East and eventually spreading Islam. Now let's move to the pre-Spanish sociology. Society was more tolerant back then. The early literary forms of the Philippines were epic, legends, riddles, and proverbs, which were told and retold by the natives. Most of the archipelago underwent a deep cultural religious transformation. The social structures during pre-Spanish times, Filipinos can be divided according to these classes. The noble class, called the Maginoo, the freeman class, called the Timawa, the warrior class, called the Maharlika, and the indentured class, called the Alipin. Lastly, let's move to political science during pre-Spanish period. Under the leadership of a datu or chieftain, the barangay, which ordinarily numbered no more than a few hundred individuals, was usually the largest stable economic and political unit. Nevertheless, the datu's once hereditary position became subject to Spanish appointment. During the pre-Spanish era, law was laid down by the Maharlikas, Council of Elders, but chosen by the datu. No elections were held to designate them. Under the military government, law was promulgated by the military governor.
Thank you, Alexa. Now let's look the research of Precious.
Thank you, Angel. And now I will discuss to you my research about Spanish anthropology, sociology, and political science. Spanish anthropology. Atapuerca becomes the center of anthropology and paleontology in Spain and Europe, and one of the largest in the world, with over 120,000 tourists per year who have visited the most important museums in half the globe. This location, together with Castal and Leon's 3 World Heritage Towns and innumerable archaeological and artistic sites, makes this region the most important cultural destination in Spain and one of the most important in Europe. This archaeological educational program allows students to strengthen their language skills while immersed in one of the world's largest anthropological treasures. And now let's talk about the Spanish sociology. The main assumption of this report is that sociology depends on society, and that the social changes and historical situation deeply influence the origin and development of the discipline. As Enrique Gomez Arbolea wrote in 1956, sociologists have not thought enough about the fact that their science is part of an historical reality. The analysis of sociology in Spain is particularly interesting because of the important changes that this country has experienced in the last 100 years. On a national level, the majority of Spaniards are Roman Catholic, and Castilian is the official language in schools and courts. And lastly, we're going to talk about Spanish political science. Spain has a parliament monarchy, which is a social representative democratic constitutional monarchy in which the monarch is the head of the state and the prime minister is the head of the government. Prime minister's official title is President of the government. Executive power is exercised by the government, which is integrated by the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Ministers, and other ministers, which collectively form the Cabinet, or Council of Ministers. Legislative power is vested in the Cortes Generales, or General Courts, a bicameral parliament constituted by the Congress of Deputies and the Senate. The judiciary is independent of the executive and the legislature, administering justice on behalf of the king by judges and magistrates. The Supreme Court of Spain is the highest court in the nation, with jurisdiction in all Spanish territories, superior to all in all affairs except constitutional matters, which are jurisdiction of a separate court, the Constitutional Court.
Thank you, Precious. Now let's listen to research of Chloe.
Thank you so much, Angel. Hi, I am Chloe, and today we are going to tackle the anthropology, sociology, and political science of the Americans. American anthropology has culture as its central and unifying concepts. This most commonly refers to the universal human capacity to classify and encode human experiences symbolically and to communicate encoded experiences socially. American anthropology is organized into four fields, and this is the biological anthropology, linguistic anthropology, cultural anthropology, and archaeology, and each of them plays an important role in research on culture. What is unique about American anthropology? It has a unique perspective on the human experience for over a century. Anthropologists also look at the human experience in terms of holistic integrated systems. Human behavior is seen in the context of how biological, ecological, and cultural systems interact with each other. Now let's move on to the American sociology. American sociology made its way from Europe to the US by the turn of 20th century. Like their European predecessors and counterparts, early American sociologists attempted to understand the problems of their day, including crime, racial problems, and economic waves. But unlike the Europeans who were more interested in forming large-scale social theories, American sociologists tried to develop solutions to specific problems such as child labors. Jane Addams was prominent founder of American sociology. She set up her Chicago-based Hull House as a center for sociological research. Most of the sociologists at Hull House are women who enjoyed applying sociological knowledge to solve social problems such as labor policies and exploitation of children workers. Let's now move on the American political science. American political science. This promotes scholarly understanding political ideas, norms, behaviors, and institutions to inform public choices about excellence and inform discourse about politics. American politics is a field of study within the academic discipline of political science. Research areas within the American political behavior subfield includes voting behavior, public opinion, politics of race, gender, and ethnicity.
Thank you, Chloe. Lastly, let's head to John Benedict and let's listen to his research.
Modern society anthropology. Modern society is often divided into four distinct subdisciplines: biological anthropology, cultural anthropology, linguistic anthropology, and archaeology. Modern society sociology. Modernity is the term used by sociologists to describe the modern period which began in Europe several hundred years ago. Modern society political science. While critical of many traditional assumptions, and doctrines, develops a political position based on a reappraisal of the idea of human rights and reconciliation of what democracy means today.
Thank you, JB. After hearing all the facts, we may conclude that a lot of things happen in our world. Not only do persons involved, but so do our lifestyle, law, and policies, along with other things. However, we are still able to adapt to such changes as a result of those evolution. Again, this is your host, Angel, and this is Pop Talk. Thank you for watching.